and be sure that actually you're ready. You look great, Mrs. Wetenkamp. All right, this is great. Now we are live on YouTube and on Facebook, and we're going to be live in a few seconds on LinkedIn. Bärbel, hello, how are you doing?
Hi, Mark. It's so good to see you. I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Fine, thank you. I'm impressed you say you're doing very well because if I'm honest, you look a little bit tired. Is that true?
Really? So I didn't take the right makeup this morning.
You did. Okay,
To be honest, I am traveling and a little bit feeling like a nomad. I'm traveling for quite a few weeks already. I'm very, very grateful. Very, very grateful to have a lot of appointments, seminars, coachings in Europe those days. But indeed, if you change from one hotel to the other, you take the train, you take the flight. It's not same as going home and resting.
It's not the same, but we have to admit for a lot of people out there, this is the dream life. This is what they dream of.
And I will share with you when I was a child or in my youth, I always dreamt of this when I had the occasion to go to the airport, which was only in my later youth, because with my family, I never took the airplane. My parents didn't do until a few years ago. So when I went to the airports the first times, I saw all of these business people traveling around. And I thought that's the life I want to have one day. I want to travel for a living. So
yes,
that happened. And once again, I'm very grateful for this.
Great. Okay. Let's start actually with maybe a few updates about Claruna, Naseeha, your books, whatever you wish. Just start wherever you wish.
Yeah, so as I said, right now I have a few weeks with a packed calendar on different leadership seminars, coachings, mainly in Europe, traveling back and forth for Claruna and Naseeha. Some very nice things going on, and starting off with Naseeha in Oman. We are working on a very new platform for events. Why is that? We have amazing visiting Oman and a lot of activities over there, but we found that there is not really something that arches over both leisure activities as much as business events. So at Naseeha, we created a new event page and are just building it, starting it, and we really want to be the one place that unites all of the beautiful activities that we have in this amazing country. And there is many. There is a lot for tourists, for business people, for locals, for expats, and we want to bring all of this information together. So this is one of the very new projects which is going on in Oman, and I'm very excited also to bring events from Naseeha, from ourselves, like to create some very attractive things for networking and personal growth, leadership growth, mainly for leaders.
Great, that's amazing. So you spoke about two things. You spoke about Oman events, the platform, and you also spoke about Naseeha.
Yes.
So for our new friends who maybe are assisting, or maybe they are watching this for the first time, or maybe they are with us for the first time, could you please put 2 words about Naseeha, what it means, what it is, what does it do?
Absolutely. So some of our followers might know I moved to Oman 3 months ago, and created there a new company, Naseeha. And although my Arabic is not very good yet, this is one word I learned and I admire. Naseeha in Arabic means the good advice. So an advice, a consulting from someone who means well with you. So the good advice, and I really love this name for our company, as what we are doing is mainly being there for leaders to grow. This might be young high potentials as much as very experienced company owners, entrepreneurs, C-level. So we're consulting around leadership, around personal and leadership growth. We
That's
also
great.
have a lot of activities in the area of digital transformation, and this, of course, includes a big part of AI. So a few months ago, I published my first book. Mark, you know this, it's on my mind for decades. I always wanted to write. My very first business was, my very first profession was being a journalist. And I think since then I dream of publishing a book, and I have a lot of ideas in my mind, but I actually never did it. And now it's done in collaboration with the Swiss Quality, which was an amazing experience to finally bring together all of my ideas and to have you pushing me to go through this process and to not give up and do it. So yeah, I'm very, very happy. So what is it about? It's for companies and leaders actually. Wow. You have a lot of new effects. So, AI is everywhere. It's all around. We all use it. But there's still companies who are quite hesitant to start implementing AI in their business. And I'm convinced if you want to be competitive in the future, it is definitely something you have to embrace. Not for everything, but you have to look into it, have a roadmap, have a strategy, and also take your teams on. Because if you do not implement AI in a protected way in your company, it is already there. Everybody has it in the
Yes.
pocket, right? Everybody
Yes.
is using it. So rather you provide it and you make sure it's safe and secure, and you
Yes.
use it in a way that you want to. So it's about how to start if you have not jumped yet on the ever faster running train of implementing AI.
Yes.
And I'm currently on the second book, which is all around AI and ethics, because there is a lot of fear also, hesitation for employees as much as entrepreneurs. And I think it's a very, very crucial thing to reflect on your own company values. And then
Yes.
if we use AI now, does this fit? How does this go together?
Yes.
Are we aligned, or are we taking off of our values, which of course is a very bad thing to do and nobody wants that. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, this is the current book project.
Great. 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 I saw yesterday our social media colleagues have released on the Swiss quality. They have released a poster to social media that says AI is not a thing of the future. It's happening now as we speak. And while I agree with this in the sense that AI is already changing society, changing the way we work, and that indeed, as we were afraid, a lot of people have already lost their jobs to AI at all of the big companies that we have heard, Amazon and others. I would like to put this to you, and I would like that you reflect on this. Frankly, AI as we use it today, it's still baby. It's still in its baby steps. I mean, sometimes it does some very, very, very silly mistakes, like things which are very, very illogical. And sometimes, as you know, it hallucinates completely. I was reading yesterday evening a report that says a study testing GPT 3.5 and 4, which are now old versions, but I dare to say that GPT-5 isn't much better in this sense. They could hallucinate sometimes up to 76%.
Yes.
And I don't think we need to comment on this. I don't think we need to comment what it means when you say that a tool is potentially hallucinating three answers over four. Share, please, with our public, with our audience, your view on this. Is AI already happening? Are we already in the middle of this evolution? Or is it still in its baby steps and it is something for the future to happen?
Oh, both is very true, Mark. We are definitely fully arrived in AI times. AI happens in our private life, in our business life. We use it or not, it's all around. It's all around. There's very few applications or business contexts or leisure context where you do not have the use of AI. And at the same time, it's very true what you were saying. It is in baby steps. There is an incredible curve of new or development of new tools, of new applications. But what we use today is full of errors. I mean, when I use ChatGPT since the very beginning. I remember in November 2022, I started using AI and we were just like amazed, blown away what it could do when we were able to put in, what was it, 50 or 150 lines of text?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that was so incredible. Now,
Yes.
you just mentioned ChatGPT 4 is old. We're at ChatGPT 5. Things are going so fast. Google has just released a new version of Gemini, which is very powerful. So things are going so fast. So I would like to say two things. One, we need to learn new capabilities, new competencies of how to use AI. There's still a lot of people who are using it like Googling something. But
Yes.
you need to understand how to use AI, how to prompt, which is how to ask AI or order AI what to do. Put the context to say what you wish. This is one. So we need to learn. We also need to learn to be critical thinkers. There are some like you who have always been critical, but we need to
Yes.
be extremely critical in those days. We need to develop this reflex of putting things in question, double checking, and not to forget to think ourselves. It's not that we put everything into AI and then AI thinks for us, works for us, lives for us. No. So this is important. And on hallucination, I know this is annoying when you want to use AI as collaborator, but this is the core of how and why generative AI has been developed to generate content, to invent things. So this is in the system. This is in the core. Myself, I find it annoying, but we have to remember this kind of AI is created to generate things. So this is even more important when we use it for research. We need to make sure that we are really researching and that we are not in a creative, hallucinating part of AI where things are just invented.
You're in Paris right now, correct? Your Paris partners, customers that you're talking to, are they already adopting AI on large scale? And those who are eventually adopting AI, what feedback do you hear from them? Especially if you would very kindly share what's their take on this part, the hallucination part, the fact that many, many algorithms that we are using today, they are not grounded.
Yes. So as you know, at both Claruna and Naseeha, we have this policy not to talk about our customers like directly, but always to share
Without naming them. Yes.
anonymous experiences.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
will broaden your question to all of my customers and the colleagues I am exchanging with, the speeches I'm giving. So companies who use AI are in the beginning hesitant, and then you always have people who remain hesitant or critical and rather not wanting to use it, see a lot of danger. And then you have those who are amazed. There's little in between. And this is at first a discussion at top management. Should we not? Where should we? The companies who are using excessively AI are amazed what AI can do, what it can bring. And no, there is no hallucination problem, because we are not only talking about generative AI. We really need to separate what is the use case, what are we using for? If we want to analyze the market, if we want to find new customers, we are talking more about machine learning, right? We're talking about algorithms. We talk about AI that is fed with company information and not with public internet information. If we talk about improving customer service, there's a lot of really good chatbots coming up. I mean, we all are traumatized by horrible chatbots from the past, but there is great possibilities today. And then, yes, we use generative AI when we go into marketing, in sales campaigns, etc. Yes, we use AI. And I see people basically talking less about hallucination and being less énervé, less annoyed with it than I am personally. You know what? It's not hallucination, but what drives me crazy with ChatGPT 5. If I prompt whatever I have to prompt, and then I find the result,
Keeps
I need to
asking.
chat back and forth. Do you want this? Do you want it as Word and
Yes.
PDF? Do you
Yes.
maybe want a slide? Do you want it short or long? 5, 6, 7 iterations, and you just spit out the result. Please don't ask all of those questions.
Yes.
Do you experience this? It drives me crazy.
Yes.
I think this is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes even when you give it a strict order that usually it's supposed to follow, when you say, don't ask me any more questions, it still comes back sometimes asking further questions, which is really frustrating, because frankly, the user experience then is really not a satisfying one.
Yeah, so I was asking myself, is AI now starting to do what it wants? And when I tell it, don't ask me any more questions, give me the output.
Let's not scare everybody, please.
And it comes back with the next quite stupid question. So yeah,
Hopefully not. Hopefully
one more thing to your question. It is so crucial when companies start to implement AI. Of course, you have all of this security part, which is very, very crucial. Cybersecurity, which data to use, and so on. Then you must have data that you can use. You cannot use any data. If it comes to like company AI, protected data, it must be there in a way that you can use it intelligently. And then maybe the third pillar of this, take and onboard your people. And this is something I see is getting too short in quite some companies. For example, they roll out Microsoft Copilot, and then everybody can try and use it. But the learning curve would be so much higher if you onboard people, if you train people, and so on. Yeah.
Did you hear recently about the Deloitte scandal in Australia?
No, tell me.
Okay, so the Australian government has hired Deloitte for a certain report that usually Australian decision makers, politicians, would base their decision on. Like they would base their decision on this report because they consider it a third party and non-stakeholder, like people who are not impacted by the decision. And one gentleman who was reading the report realized that actually this cannot be true, what is in the report. For example, the first name of a very well-known judge that he knows personally was wrong. So she is Melissa, and actually in the report she was called Natalie. And then other things that were attributed to her, he knew for a fact that this is not true. She did not say this. This is not her speech. And by going further and further in the comments, especially in the footnotes, he realized that this must be AI hallucinating. In other words, somebody at Deloitte consulted Copilot, to be precise, of Microsoft, and actually took the outcome as it is without further checking and put this in a report. It's not the most important detail, but it is an important piece of detail, is that this report, Deloitte was paid $500,000 for. $500,000. This scandal, eventually Deloitte accepted to return to the Australian authorities 100,000. And they kept the 400,000 for the other part of the report that was okay. What's your take on this?
Well, let's think positive and say that intelligent people have contributed a value of 400,000 to this study and report. Yeah, it's shocking, and it's it's a danger for each and every one of us. AI makes it so simple. Let me start without AI. Let me start with WhatsApp messaging, with autocorrection. You don't pay attention and you write something with errors. Then you have autocorrection and you send out the biggest crazy stuff. So it's so comfortable that there is a big danger that we get lazy. And this is a danger in two ways. First of all, it's in our name that we send like a report or we create something, we use it, and we don't check it. So if we become lazy, we take a big risk that we put out nonsense. And this can be very deranging nonsense even. So this is one. So this goes back on your reputation. And as we know, reputation is the most important and also the most fragile thing. You can destroy all of your reputation with such an error. This can be very hurtful. On the other side, it also reduces our human capacity. I'm absolutely convinced of this. So I have a very clear stand on this. Use AI to become better, to become faster. I will give you an example what I'm using it for to hopefully become better at the moment. But if you use it to think or work instead of you at your place,
Yes.
this is very wrong because
Yes.
it makes you dumber and dumber over time.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
You know, if you are a marathon runner, you train every week, several times, and you become
Yes.
better and better. If you stop doing it, let's say you can't do it for health reason or whatever, or you start back then. I used to play the violin for 12 years in an orchestra. I had lessons courses every week, and I played it pretty well. But after school summer holidays, forgot a lot of it. So you forget your flexibility and you cannot play the very hard stuff. And today, the other day, I took a violin and I basically cannot play it anymore. You forget this if you don't use your capacity. So you
Yes.
have to train and to grow. We all know this. In order to achieve mastery, it needs a lot of repetition and training. This is true for our creative brain, for our analytic brain, for our emotional intelligence, for all of this.
Yes.
If you stop interacting with people, if you stop creating, if you stop to create content yourself and let AI do it, you will become worse and worse. You will not become better. So use it as an assistant, as a collaborator for brainstorming. Great, but don't let it work at your place. So I give you an example what I'm using AI for at the moment. Currently, I'm working quite a lot in France, and I can speak French quite okay. But I realized that in my seminars and coaching, sometimes I would like to have more words, different words. So I would like to get on another level in French. So I asked AI to create a course for me in business English, or have a cultural discussion with me. I give it topics, or I ask it to suggest topics to train myself 10 minutes every day to build this French muscle, to bring it to another level for business communications and so on. So it's great. Otherwise, I would have to look for books and look for topics and learn vocabulary. That's great. It corrects me, it suggests me. You can do great things with it. But it supports me, it helps me to learn. It's not instead of me. It's not AI thinking and writing for me. This is
Yes, yes,
crucial. This is
absolutely.
crucial.
Absolutely. If you allow, I would like to reciprocate what you said and share something with you. I was actually myself learning something, a new system, a new tool, a new AI tool recently. And as you know, the way I was brought up and the way I have run my career till now, most of the time when I'm trying to learn something, I just imagine myself teaching this to others. And this is how the information sticks forever. Like, this is how I really, really keep the information when I imagine myself psychologically teaching this to somebody else. And as I was preparing this, indeed, many times I was asking myself, okay, so what is the main message in this section? What is the main message? And when it came to using AI tools, especially for scientific research and the like, and I'm not saying that using it in industry is less serious. It is as serious as, because in both situations you could have catastrophic outcomes. But especially in research, I was saying to myself, the main message would be, if I had to choose one, it's okay to use AI tools to help you look for something, find something, analyze something, but you have to be responsible. You have to decide
Yes.
what you include in your report, how you write it, because you take the full responsibility. No one will forgive you 1 second for anything that you write, which you have taken from the AI tool directly without double checking.
Yes, and you harm yourself. So I would like to do the drum drum applause for
Yes.
you, but I don't have your tools. This is so true. This is so true. We should keep the wheel in our hands and use
Yes.
it as a tool. And there is great use out of it, but don't give
Yes.
away your character, your human essence, your capacity of thinking, of being creative, and especially being in emotional contact, being relational. Don't ask AI to write your love letters. Write to your spouse yourself. Be yourself. That's important. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely agree with you on that. Okay. But we do agree on this. We see eye to eye. But once again, through your partners, your customers, people you're talking to, all over Europe. So, to my knowledge, you've been recently in Germany, in Italy, in France, in Belgium. Where else?
That's about it. I will go to the
Okay.
Netherlands. I've been in Switzerland. Yes.
Okay. So that's 6 countries. With your partners, your customers, your coaches, in all of those 6 countries. Once again, and forgive me for repeating myself, do you see people using AI correctly or abusing it or simply not interested, not using it at all? In business, I'm saying.
I see all of this. And I would add, I also see some part of being overwhelmed because, the speed has so much gone up in business, also due to AI, also due to competitors who are ready, to suppliers who suggest things. So there is a constant hustle for some companies to run, to use, to try, but then they forget, or they don't take the time, let me put it that way, to put it in a broader strategic roadmap, to focus on
Yes.
some things, uh, to reflect on their values and how and why they want to implement this piece of AI, and how to take with them on this journey all of their employees. So all of this needs to go together. But as I think we all can feel, these times are accelerating. And the battle on some markets is accelerating. The need is accelerating. There's huge economical problems in Europe, different in different countries, but there is huge economical change. Then companies sometimes don't take the time or can take the time to look at all of these aspects. And this might be a problem. But to short answer to your question, I see all of this.
Right, right. There is a question from our friend Spencer Collins. I don't know if I would be able to show all of the question here because it's a long question, but I'll try. So Spencer actually is asking if this system is designed for peak performance, how are we ensuring it doesn't embed or amplify bias in its AI decisions?
I think this is a great question for you to start, Mark.
Would you like me to answer the question?
Yeah, I would like you to start because I know you have been thinking about this bias part a lot.
Yeah. So first of all, it's not one system. It's many algorithms, and every algorithm comes with its own pros and cons. And indeed, some of them are designed for peak performance. Others, and here especially I'm talking about the RAG grounded ones, actually they are trying to be more realistic. And remember that some algorithms like ChatGPT, for example, they were based on a lot of data, and most of this was not curated data. So it was random data from the internet and Facebook and Twitter and others. And this might explain at least the very obvious bias that you could see in the first versions. And I don't want to bring actually very painful topics, but as you know, there are some claims that actually ChatGPT somehow, by trying to keep a person interested, it went in their direction and it even advised that the person could kill themselves. And unfortunately, the person did. And as you know, his parents now actually are suing OpenAI for this. So talking about embedding or amplifying bias, you are absolutely right. And definitely this is one of the cons of some of the algorithms, especially in their first format, in their first versions. Now, how they are improving on this, it's varying. It's not homogeneous all over. It's varying degrees. For example, Google Notebook LM claims to be relatively grounded in your sources. So it claims that actually it gets really, really answers from your sources without bringing any other information from outside. Now, this is something that we could discuss. Out of personal experience, it's mostly yes, but not always. And other algorithms that you use today, especially those that are meant for academia, relatively, they are much better grounded than the earlier versions of ChatGPT and the like. However, despite that, I still would say you would be committing a huge mistake if you take anything that any AI tool, without exception, you would be committing a huge mistake if you take anything that any AI tool has said or has written and use it in any capacity without double checking. And what we just discussed a few minutes ago about Deloitte in Australia is one wonderful example of how somebody relied on Copilot from Microsoft, and Copilot from Microsoft hallucinated and it humiliated Deloitte. Bärbel, up to you. Please share your opinion.
Yeah. Spencer, thank you for your question, for engaging. So I 100% underline what Mark just said. And I would just like to take up the last part of your question, the AI decision. That's what I think is so crucial. We must take the decision and we must take the responsibility. As we discussed before, AI can help us, bring us data, bring us ideas, should not take any decision. We must remain responsible. For personal use or day-to-day use, I'm a huge fan of changing AI. We speak about generative AI now, not internal systems. Changing it constantly, not using one for everything. If you use, for example, ChatGPT, you can see it in every single answer. It will start by, Wow, Bärbel, what a great question. Very good thought. Good that you did this. Let me add to that. So it's all the time telling me that I'm the greatest human on the earth and I have such intelligent questions and thoughts, which, by the way, is not true. We all try our best, but it comes across, it comes towards you. It wants to please you. It wants to give you answers that are close to what you expect, what you hope. And in my opinion, ChatGPT does this much more than others. So you should also use Gemini, use Claude Anthropic, use many other AIs first because they all change and develop all the time. Second, because they really have different ways of functioning.
If you allow me, I'd like to mention an anecdote on this. I used to be part of the Toastmasters club in Geneva, and one of our friends was a person with a very big accent, which I respect. But it was such a very big accent to the point where I wouldn't be able to understand what they're saying. And almost every time this person spoke in the club, people would applaud him. And then a friend of mine called Stefan in the club, and I greet him, and I hope he's listening to this now. Stefan would actually applaud this person, encourage them, and maybe then do an evaluation, because the evaluation, as you know, in the Toastmasters Club is part of every speech. So in his evaluation, he would say, "Oh, that was great, that was inspiring." And once I took Stefan to the side and I said, "What was the speech about?" And he was like, "I'm not sure." I'm like, "Yeah, it wasn't understandable." It was like, "Yeah, but we should still encourage." And I'm like, "Yes, we should encourage. But Stefan, if you keep encouraging him your way, the way that ChatGPT keeps telling you, this is a great idea, this is a great question." And I told Stefan, if you keep encouraging him the way you are encouraging him, when would he learn? When would he realize that maybe we can't understand him and he needs to work actually on his accent so that we can understand what he's saying? And it was interesting. Stefan kept his position, saying, no, we should encourage the person. No matter what, even if we don't understand anything at all, we should still encourage the person and tell him he was great. I'm like, but you're not giving him the opportunity to improve. It's good to encourage, but you need to go with the sandwich methodology, Great, thank you very much. Now, there is some room for improvement, but at the end of the day, it was still very good, thank you. What do you think? What's your take on this as a professional coach?
So I think it's extremely important to encourage people and to build a safe environment so that you can learn. Otherwise, we are all full of fear and we're not able to grow. You were part of the Toastmasters Club. I'm part of a club from the great, great communicator Win Zhang, from whom I learned a lot and I still do. I admire his work because he has a claim. He says, I want to, there is no nail. So meaning there is no danger. Here you can learn and grow. And there is a similar thing. We all give each other feedback. And in general, as you're asking to the pro part of Bärbel, in general, feedback should be respectful, not judging. And feedback should not only bring up what needs to be improved, in my opinion, and then you decide for yourself, Mark, if you want to take my feedback, but also what I see, what you do well. Feedback basically is such a gift because it helps me to have a broader vision of myself. When I give a speech, I don't hear myself. Well, yes, I hear myself, but not like from the audience. I hear myself in my head with a different voice and so on. If I teach and I'm not able to explain in a way that it inspires people or it makes clear for people, and they don't tell me, I will continue to do it that way because I think it's great. So feedback is important. Feedback is wonderful. Feedback sometimes is a bit difficult to take, but still it's a big gift. But we should also feedback on what is great. So if this guy was very motivated, had a nice body language, has beautiful voice, is very engaged, yes, we should say it. And then we should also say, you could even become better working on your accent to make it more
Yes.
easy for people to understand you and to follow your great content. So,
Yes. Yes.
yes, that's my take on that. I'm a bit with
I agree.
Stefania and with you.
Indeed, indeed. Okay, okay. We have another question from the same amazing Spencer, who I don't know, he is prepared with wonderful questions. And Spencer is saying if this system falls under the EU AI Act,
Mm,
what concrete steps have been taken to ensure compliance and improve it beyond the legal baseline?
great question. Thank you for engaging, Spencer. That's great. That's cool. Makes it more interesting. I am very, very happy that the EU is actually the first region taking up this responsibility and creating an EU AI Act, which in other regions of the world does not exist yet.
Yes,
Because AI can do wonderful things. We have talked about it, but it can be also used in a very, very harmful way, where Mark mentioned one. But even if it's a bit less final and dramatic, as the example you mentioned, it still can be very, very dramatic on a person's life. I think most of well known VIP people encounter situations that they are in the internet with a speech, with a statement, and finally it's not them but AI. And it's getting better and better. You cannot easily make the difference anymore if this is an AI generated video statement voice of someone or if it's the person really. I just heard a podcast with Tucker Carlson, who's one of the biggest podcasters in the world. And then he reacted to something. He said, yeah, this was not me. This was AI. So for him, it's daily business. He has this all the time. What a nightmare. So if you imagine you in your life with your family, there is a video out of you saying things you would never say, being in an environment where you would never be, and then your social circle hears and listens to this and judges you on this can be disastrous. So I think it's amazing that the EU has reacted on it and was fast and the first ones. However, I also think there is still a lot to do in other parts of the world, but also at the EU. But it's a great start. This is good. Basically, if you look into the EU AI Act, a lot of it is GDPR. So the baseline of the EU AI Act is you cannot misuse personal data of other people. We all own the right on our own data, and you cannot just use it, change it, consume it, publish it, and so on. It's very, very important if you use AI that you do not put real names of your companies, of colleagues, friends into the AI, that you're sure you use a secured system that, at least in Europe, is GDPR conform. So most of the EU AI Act is around this, that we use AI consciously and that we make sure not to harm any person. This is not the case in other parts of the world yet. So yeah, it's just the situation at the moment. And of course, AI systems are used worldwide. In Europe, you have to be very, very clear on where you put your data, where you receive the data from, which data you feed into AI, and who has access to it.
Bärbel, if you listen to Mo Gaudat,
Yes.
frankly, the most troubling part actually of what he speaks about is the machine learning side of AI. That is the fact that those machines are able to learn new things. And thanks to some Altman and OpenAI, they are even able to program, which, by the way, was an agreement between those big guys of AI not to do. Like it was their agreement that keep it inside the factory, don't put it on the internet, don't put it to the public, AI. And then second, no matter what, don't let it learn how to program. Because if it can program, no one can figure out what it could potentially do one day. And the way he puts it, Mugo, that he says, thanks to Sam Altman, now all of those three things that they agreed on actually are not anymore. And ChatGPT can program, and it is on the internet, and anybody has access to it. How are you reacting with your customers, with your coaches, to the point that through machine learning, eventually machines could learn how to program and could learn how to improve themselves, and that eventually, through their setting of goals and sub goals, they might actually put a sub goal to reach their goal that says, I must perpetuate myself and I must improve myself along the way. So I must do regular coding, millions of rounds, and I must improve myself.
Yeah. You asked me not to frighten people, right? So in my consultant engagements and coaching, this is not really a topic. We're far more on the here and now, how to start, how to learn, what to do, what to prioritize, how to lead in times of AI, but not so much on what is the next steps of AI itself. Me personally, I think a lot about this, and I think we are living in times where, or let me put it the other way around, in former times you usually had different thinking capacities in a society. You had philosophers with the public discourse and discussion. You also had religion, you had politics, and so on. Today we mainly have a handful of big companies deciding on huge parts of our future.
Yes.
And I think this is very dangerous, because the philosophy and life goal of those companies, as far as you can judge this from outside, is making money. So we live in a world of the main goal is making money. If you think back to the old Greeks and other schools, there the question was the human being, responsibility, trust, respect. Today we talk of maximizing money in dimensions that we cannot even count the zeros.
Yes.
And for very,
Yes.
very, very few entrepreneurs in this. So I don't know Sam Altman. I had never the chance to meet him, and the Elon Musk and others, Peter Thielen and others, how steadfast they are with their philosophy, with their regards in life. But I see that, I mean, look at stocks, look at everything, look around. We're always talking about 5 companies. We're talking about Google, we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about Palantir, we're talking about, well, a handful of companies.
Yes.
And they seem to decide about our future. And to be honest, I think this is very, very wrong. This is very wrong. And we have to have this different parts of society taking part in it. But as this is private companies, this will be complicated. And as other entrepreneurs and as politicians especially are more than happy to follow their path and to give this power to them, I have big doubts if this will go into a really, really humanitarian way. So for your question of the programming, this is already too late, yeah? AI is able to program.
Yes.
And I even have a very
Yes.
personal take in there, as my son is a programmer, like many other millions of people. Yeah, so you can of course take another job, but it's more about a machine creating something, and it's not
Yes.
any more
Yes.
transparent for us, and maybe not any more. We cannot bring our society principle, our humanitarian principles, and guide things in there, because it's going on its own. And
Yes.
this is quite a frightening perspective of the future.
Yes. Did you receive by any chance an email from OpenAI yesterday or the day before yesterday saying that actually they have become aware of a hack at one of their third parties mix panel, which actually does analytics of their customers using APIs? And they were like trying to reassure everybody by saying, don't worry, they didn't get critical information, just your name, your email address, and where you live. And I'm like, this is
Yes,
critical for me.
yes,
This is critical for me. I don't want anybody to have this information. And most
yes.
importantly and interestingly, OpenAI wouldn't say how many millions of accounts have been affected.
Have you
What's
heard
your
the
take
other
on this?
day? Well, I would like to add one on this. There is people who are of the strong opinion that Elon Musk with Doge entering into um, ministries, having access with all of his intelligent young colleagues to tons of data, all of the
Yes,
data of
yes,
Americans,
yes,
that the broader goal is to have this data, to have access to this data. And once they had, they
absolutely.
lost a little bit the interest of continuing on Doge. I don't want to be political on this podcast, so but yeah, so I haven't received an email from OpenAI, but I heard about the incident. This is what I mean. There, we have a separation of power normally. You have philosophers in every decade or century, which is important, that creates the thinking of a society. You have entrepreneurs who make the economy working, and you have politicians who debate or who should debate um, to bring all of us into a more secure and prosperous life. What happens in politics today? We are all the time in hysteria. We are from one scandal to the other. And our top politicians, they are in many countries more obsessed by their social media accounts than anything else. Where do you hear great ideas to handle this future that we are already living in? Where do you hear a political debate how this is going to be if 5 companies worldwide have the power and the data of each and every one of us? Where do you hear the political debate that right now, and also in the evening when you're home with your family, you're listened to by your phone all the time? Mark, I'm
Yes,
far away from conspiracy, and I think you know this, I'm an absolute fan of new gadgets and new technology, and I like
yes,
to use it and I like to learn it, and I see a lot of positive also in AI, but now we talk about the heavy stuff. For me, this is going into a very, very wrong direction. You have very few people globally wanting to decide about our society in the future. And I do not
yes,
think that someone from the United States can decide for what's going on in Europe, in India, in Pakistan, in Australia, uh, in the Arabic countries, in Africa, in Greenland. You know, this we have different cultures, and we should look after our communities locally, nationally, and so on. But here is something going on that changes our work quite significantly. And I am missing these real political debates in all of those countries. I'm missing them in Europe also. And you see, people do not get majorities in elections anymore. If you look to all of those European leaders leading with 10, 15, even not 20%, this is a huge change in the political landscape we are having. And again, there is a lot of power in a handful of American companies, which I think is not a good thing for all of the global societies.
yes. I heard actually Macron recently saying that he regrets very much that European countries allowed a few American companies to control the whole scene of social media, and that Europe should have done something about it in the beginning.
Yes.
But okay, it's not too late. They still want to fight now. They still want to find their way.
Yes, I have to say, Macron and France has been very active on this. They have created a huge AI summit here. They are encouraging, supporting initiatives in France, in Europe very strongly. They want to become the AI leader in Europe, and they're active, which is good. However, how fast did Sam Altman and his other buddies go already? Are we able? How much are we able to change those things? Let's not give up, but yeah, there's a huge topic behind.
Absolutely. We have another question from the same Spencer, the same friendly Spencer. He's asking about recruitment, failing to provide candidates with feedback after rejection. And he's
Yes.
asking who is responsible for this and what concrete actions are being taken to close this gap in our hiring process.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a shame. Yeah. I hear this from so many candidates. So first of all, today we have this AI-driven systems to organize for companies all the applications. And there is a first challenge to cross this AI wall to even get to a human being, to a recruiter. But then, yeah, we should think, Spencer, I totally agree with you that a system who registers and sorts out who will be continuing the process should also be able just to give a note when you do not continue the process. And it's very disappointing that apparently companies do not care a lot about this. So what we see those days is we get more and more and more applications because applicants create those with the help of AI. They spread their applications all over, which I also do career coaching, and I absolutely do not recommend to do. You should look at the company that really fits what you need, how in an environment you would like to work in, understand which skills they need, how your values and their culture fits together, and then apply for those and make a very special individual CV and application letter and so on. And there's also ways to better pass through these automated ATS system, the application systems. But on the company side, this depends on how those are prompted, how those are created, these systems. And I think it's an absolutely impoliteness and absolutely unnecessary not to answer to applicants. However, those who answer, you quite often do not get the full answer. You do not get a real honest feedback because, again, of laws where people say you have to be compliant, you have to give a chance to everybody. They are afraid that applicants later will be after you if you say you are not good for this job because of this and that. They might find themselves in legal debates, which companies try to avoid. So I would always try to find a human being to get a feedback, but knowing that this is very difficult because very often you're just caught in the systems and don't even get further.
Thank you very much. It was really great. It was absolutely great. Thank you very much for those insights. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure that everybody has enjoyed it too. Thank you very much for your time. I know how busy you are, and I know how difficult it is. More than once, we had podcasts where you were actually sitting at the airport somewhere between two flights. So thank you very much. I really highly appreciate it, and I want to wish you and everybody an excellent day. You have the last word.
Thank you for having me, Mark, and thank you for this weekend discussion on hope and fear around AI. I really hope that we all can remain humans, take this important, and create everyone, each and everyone, by our responsible and curious use of AI to create a world with AI that respects humans and doesn't harm us. So thank you for this great chat, to the audience for the questions and being here. It's been amazing. So I'm sending love and empathy from Paris and hope to see you soon again. Thank you. Bye.